Hey everyone, this is Spencer. And if you're like me, you're hotly anticipating getting a NVIDIA 3080, but perhaps wanting to beat out the bots and the scammers, hopefully, or the scalpers, hopefully, in order to snag one. And there's a lot of retailers that the 3080 is available on. And if you're like me and you're not making videos in the middle of the day, you probably might be working, or at least not wanting to hit the refresh button every minute to see if you can get a card. So I went out to I sought to write software to solve this problem for me, specifically just to check the NVIDIA store. And then I heard word of the NVIDIA Snatcher, which is what I want to show you today. So the NVIDIA Snatcher is a really nice piece of software made by Jeff. He took the idea that I had, he completely blew it out of the water with his implementation. So I think it's really neat software. And so I wanted to walk you through what it is. So it's a stock alerting system specifically that runs on your computer or a computer that you own. I currently have it running on an Azure VM, and I'll get into why in a little bit. But basically what this thing does is you specify a list of stores, and it has a list of cards, and it just constantly refreshes and checks those. And if one comes in stock, it will alert you. So if you're a developer, the installation requirements are pretty easy to follow. But I thought a video walkthrough for non-developers would be useful in order to kind of even the playing field. I would love to have a 3080, but I'd rather see everybody have a good shot at getting it. So thus why I'm making this video. So I'm going to walk through. So this VM that I have, so this is a new Azure VM. So it's not touched. I haven't done anything with it except install Google Chrome. So if you're starting with Google Chrome, you're good to go. And I will walk you through installing all of the software. So first thing that we're going to do is install Node. And Node is just a JavaScript engine that runs on your computer that allows you to execute JavaScript code, essentially outside of a browser. And what the product that Jeff created is written in using Node, so using JavaScript and used to run inside of Node. So I'm going to go ahead and download it. And that looks good. I'm going to download that. The other piece of software that we're going to need is a piece of software called Git. So I'm going to go ahead and download that as well. So I'm going to download 2280. And yeah, it should start. And there we go. Okay, so I'm going to install Node first and just walk you through what that installation looks like. So put that down. We will need this in a second. So I'm just going to hit next, and you can pretty much hit next if you don't know what you're looking at. You can pretty much hit next all the way through and just hit install, and you should be good to go. So let it do its thing here real quick. And we're good. All right, so that's thing one. So we got thing one. I'm going to go ahead and close this real quick. And then thing two is Git, of course. So let's install that. And you don't need and Git is so what Git is it's a tool that is used to, it's a source control manager for source code. So basically when you're writing software, you push it up to this repository and it will track all your changes for you, if you're not familiar with it. Super handy piece of software, sort of the de facto standard for most source control systems. It's most people that create new projects, they use Git. So anyways, I'm just going to go through this, and you can just hit next on most of these. These are a lot of advanced options. If you're a developer and you need to customize your installation of Git, that's what you would do this for. You would select all those options, but usually I just next through them, and that's worked pretty well for me. So while that's coming up, I'm going to kind of just run through some of the commands that you have to run. So git clone, this will just copy all of the code to your computer. Typically if you're copying code you don't trust, you shouldn't execute it. GitHub's pretty safe to typically do that from a reputable developer, but in general, it's never like a great idea to just install software. But I did this on an Azure VM. Again, I did this on a virtual machine, and I said I would touch on that, so I will for a couple of reasons. First of all, in the instance that I do want to check out, I don't want to get detected as a bot. I don't want my local computer to get detected as a bot. I'm a legitimate buyer. The only thing I'm trying to do is just make sure, check the stock on as many stores as I can, same as the scalpers and the bots do. So, but otherwise, and that's an important thing to note, that this software will not buy the product for you. You still have to go physically do the checkout. So you should have your information, set up in all these stores, Newegg or, a B&H or whatever retailer you use. And I think that's a really important distinction. Is I wouldn't be making a video about this if this thing bought. But, now I'm getting on a soapbox, aren't I? So view release notes, don't need to do that. Completing the Get Setup Wizard. So we're good to go. So the next thing I'm going to do is clone the project, and I'm just going to do it on my desktop. So I'm going to do PowerShell, and I'm going to move that over here, and I'm just going to copy paste this, no reason to make it complicated. And just copy and paste it in. You can also do this inside of a command line, not PowerShell, just the regular Windows command line. So it is now, it's not on my desktop. Well, let's put it on my desktop. All right, we'll try it again. That was pretty quick anyways. All right. Let's see. Okay, so then I'm going to CD into it, NVIDIA Snatcher, just like that. And we're going to see this list of files come up. So first thing that we want to do, the first command that we want to run is a command called npm install. And what this is going to do is it's going to pull down all of the dependencies, all the stuff that this piece of software depends on. It's going to pull that down. So npm install. Depending on your computer, this could take a while, but it should be pretty quick, just a couple minutes. So the next thing to set up is the configuration file. There's a huge amount of configuration within this, and it can seem a little intimidating, and it is important to set this up. So I just want to walk you all through it. The ones that are most relevant to me are I want to receive an email. I want an email and a text to be sent to me, so I'm using my Gmail username and password. If you have two-factor authentication turned on, there's a link in this repo to down below to set up what's called an app password. I'm not going to do that in this video. So a lot of these probably aren't that super relevant to you, but some of them are. So I'm going to walk through the ones that are most relevant to me. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and go back here, and then I'm going to copy, the environment example to a new file. And then I'm going to say ls. And there it is, this file right here, .env. This is an environment file. This is where all those variables that you need to run this thing are defined. So I'm going to go ahead and now open it up. So we're going to go to here. We're going to go to NVIDIA Snatcher. And we're going to right-click, and we're going to say Open With. And I'm just going to choose Notepad. Yeah, there we go. Good old Notepad. All right. Oh, can I make this bigger? Let's see. View, zoom in. Control plus. So you can just do it like this. Perfect. All right. So zoom in a little bit. Okay. So the ones that I have set up, I did set up pushover so that I get push notifications to my phone, but I think email and text will be plenty sufficient for most of you. Browser trusted, false. I'm just going to take that one out. Didn't use that one. Discord notify group. If you're wanting to set up a notification inside of Discord, I don't use Discord that much personally, so I'm not going to use that. So email, username, and password. So this is where you would put in your username and password. I'm not going to put in mine for obvious reasons. But if you wanted to put in your email, username, and specifically for Gmail, this is logging in and using Gmail to send these emails. So you would put your username here, and then if you have two-factor authentication set up, which I highly recommend you have set up anyways, you'd want to put your app-specific password. I'm not a fan of putting my plain text password into any kind of configuration files for anything, so an app-specific password certainly gives me a lot more comfort. Headless is true, don't need it. It's worth mentioning, I'm deleting these because they're totally optional. I should have mentioned that. In stock wait time, I think 30 seconds is fine. Log level info, open browser. I think the open browser actually opens, yeah. Let's see. Toggle for the browser is open, so if something is detected as in stock, the item will open inside of your browser. I have this turned off because I have this running in a VM and I'm not logging into anything on that VM. But if you were running this on your local machine, you would have this turned on. And by the way, also worth mentioning, running this on your local machine, this thing is not super optimized. Like literally, it's opening browser windows in the background to check stock on these websites. So on this other Azure VM that I have running it, it's consistently with 2 cores and 8 gigs of memory. It's consistently running at 100% CPU usage, and I'm not going to pay for a VM to an 8-core VM just to do this. So 2 cores is good enough for me, but it will run pretty hot, so be forewarned. Let's see, page timeout. So phone number. So this is if you want to actually have your phone number associated with to get a text message. You would put your phone number and then your carrier here. So your carrier, the list of carriers that you can use is further down inside of this. Let's see the carriers. Yes, so I have AT&T, for example. So I put my phone number here and AT&T here. Now I believe that this does not work unless you have your email username and password put in, because I think it uses email to send you the text message. And phone number. Email configuration required. That's correct. Okay, so I do use that one. Play sound. I actually created a really obnoxious sound for this, but if you don't, and what it does is it's just me saying, hey, the thing's in stock, go get it. But I made it a WAV file, but it didn't work for me, so I'm just going to skip it. Push bullet, not familiar with what that is. Probably something very similar to pushover. I am using pushover, but that's outside the scope of this video. Just getting push notifications on my phone. I'm totally going, overboard on this personally. Let's see. Page sleep min and max. Don't need that. Show only brands. Now this is an interesting one. So if you want, a lot of people in the NVIDIA Discord are talking about, the EVGA is it and Zotac is bad or whatever, whatever the case may be. I don't have an opinion other than this, so I don't use it. Right now, the bot only uses 3080s, so there's that. Or sorry, it only looks for 3080s. I'm sure it will be updated to look for 3090s as soon as they're available tomorrow, as of the making of this video. Slack channel, Slack token, don't use them. Skip over stores, I'll go over that in a second. Twitter, definitely don't want Twitter. Screenshots, don't need it. Country, I am USA, and I think that's pretty much like the most basic setup for receiving notifications. You can set up desktop notifications, not relevant to me. I actually got a few DMs of people asking me how to do it, and I just don't use desktop notifications, so I don't know and don't particularly care, especially because I'm running this on a VM. Okay, so the stores. Now this is really important. Depending on this is a comma-separated list of all the stores that you want to be able to buy from. So it will check all of the stores that you have in this list. So I do not recommend you put in every single one of these. Obviously, if you live in the US, it doesn't make any sense for you to use Best Buy Canada. Just going through them, Adorama easily detects it as a bot, although that could be because I'm hosting it on Azure. So I just removed that one, although it is a trusted retailer. I think right now I have B&H, Newegg, Best Buy, NVIDIA, and EVGA. Zotac is here as well. So Office Depot does sell the cards. So worth mentioning that if you set this up, the more stores you put in, the more browser windows it's open, the slower your computer is going to be. So I'm doing 5 right now, and again, 2 cores hitting 100%. Now, if you have a gaming machine, that's probably not a concern. But again, I don't want to be detected as a bot necessarily when I actually go to check out. And even though the sacrifice I make is that I might miss out on a card, which that's okay with me. At least I'm hoping that somebody's using this to get it sooner than the bots and the scalpers, which have been a huge problem on this release. Okay, so anyways, so it's very simple. You just separate Best Buy, B&H Video, NVIDIA. I think that's a good start. So let's just do that. And then let's see. I am not going to use the email or password. Okay, so this is good to go, I think. So at least for me, this would be exactly how I would configure it. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go back to my command window. And this is the most important command, the thing to actually run the thing. So npm run start. Okay, and that's right here in this instructions. If in these instructions as well, right here, npm run start. And so what it's going to do is it's going to actually go through, compile the program, and it's going to actually start to, look at all those stores. So you'll see some messages come up on the screen, and this thing will run until you stop it. So in order to stop it, you hit Control-C. Oh, yes, NVIDIA, it's creating a cart session. To me, this is not super relevant. Mainly because I'm not checking out on this computer. I'm not going to be checking out on this computer. I'm going to be checking out on a different computer. But it will load up a browser session that shows you, that has an NVIDIA cart set up for you. I'm sure there's a reason why that's being done, but I don't know what it is. And now it's going to go through and start chugging through and looking at cards. So I'm going to open up Task Manager just to kind of show you. It should be running pretty hot on this machine, and it surely is. So this Chromium process. So this is why. So just going back to the implementation, why I think it's a great simple implementation. It's using what's called Chromium, which is a browser, and all intents and purposes, just one that you're not seeing. And it's actually going and browsing to these websites and then reading the page to see if there's any stock available. My solution was a lot more simple. It just checked a JSON API, again, outside the scope of this video. And I had that running for a little while, but this, frankly, is far and away a superior solution for many reasons, at least in my opinion. So anyways, one last thing. You want to stop it, Control-C to stop. It'll say terminate batch job. I just hit Control-C twice. You probably have to stop it and start it to tweak the configuration as you go down as you go down this road. So, anyways, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments section. I'm taking time out of my workday to do this video, so I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to get to them right away. One last thing that you need to know. So you'll notice that this code here, the code inside of this repo, is being updated, and it's getting issues, and it's getting a lot of PRs merged in. So people are making improvements to it all the time. So be checking back at this website on this, which of course I'll put a link in the description. Please be checking back to make sure that you get the latest code. And when you want the latest code, the thing to get, and you will, all software usually has bugs, and sure enough, yesterday I got a huge amount of false positives for Newegg, but somebody fixed it in a pull request, which is just a request to change code for non-developers out there. It's just a request by another person to change the main code base. So Jeff has to go in and manually review them, which is a good thing, because we don't want we don't want anybody to just make changes to this repo. Jeff being the gatekeeper is a good thing. Because we don't want malicious, code to get in, which I sincerely doubt it would happen anyways, but it certainly does help to have that extra set of eyes, right? So in order to get the latest changes, git pull, that's what you're looking for. Git pull is the command. So what it'll do is it will go to GitHub, and it already has it tied back since you cloned it from, remember that git clone command we ran earlier? As long as you're inside of the directory when you run git pull, you'll be able to get the latest version of the code. And if you get a bunch of false positives, and there may already be a fix for it. But right now it seems to be running pretty stably. No false positives as of 9:23 at 11 a.m. Central. So anyways, I hope this video was useful. I'm sure I rambled a bit. But if you have any other questions, like I said, put them in the comments. Thanks a lot.